All right, so Crimson Desert, the developers posted some PC specifications and requirements on Steam, and I wanted to go over some of this information with you guys, react to it, give my thoughts on it. And so that way, if you guys are looking to get this game, I know it's a game that's been highly anticipated. I've been looking forward to it. You guys can kind of gauge on what you can expect when getting this game and playing it. And yeah, I need a lot of people have been anticipating it because for a while now, we've been looking for a very expansive open world game. I personally haven't felt like this or haven't been hyped like this for an open world game since like Elden Ring. Now, to be fair, this isn't going to be sort of like a Souls like open world game like Elden Ring. This is actually going to be a lot more broader, a lot more expansive. It's kind of, I haven't seen too much like gameplay trailers of it. I'm actually looking to go into it more blind just to give myself that surprising aspect or element of it. But from what I've seen, the limited information and gameplay clips and mechanics and all that, it seems to be kind of going for like a jack of all trades type of game where, the combat is going to be fun and extensive. The questing is going to be thorough. There's going to be other aspects that go deep as well, like crafting or village and resource management. So a lot of cool things that they're going for. It's just going to be a very overall complete package. And I hope that, because they're doing this whole jack of all trades approach, it doesn't take away too much from certain aspects of it. Like, I still want the combat and the gameplay to be fun. At the same time, I do also want good stories and really good questing as well. So we'll see. It is something that I'm highly anticipating. But yeah, let's get back onto the topic on hand, which is the PC hardware specifications. And I guess we'll just start off with the minimum requirements because to be honest, I was taking a look at all of these specifications, and they certainly look pretty promising. And from what I've been hearing, the developers and from other testers, that they have done some pretty good work on optimization. So, and just bear with me, guys. I'm a little bit sick here. Been feeling a bit under the weather, so my voice isn't quite there yet. These weather swings here in Canada are just ridiculous. We go from having 18-degree weather and then all the way back down to like -5. It's so stupid. In any case, minimum specifications. So when they mean minimum, what they're talking about here is upscaled 1080p. So they're upscaling from 900p, which is probably using a quality preset upscaler, and they're targeting a 30 FPS frame rate. And I really respect developers who actually differentiate when they are talking about upscaled resolution versus just, putting 1080p 60 or 1440p 60, and then, the user is left wondering, is that an upscaled target? But in this case, they're actually clearly outlining what is upscaled and what isn't. So yeah, from 900p, and they target 30 FPS. So what you'll need for that is a 5500 XT if you're on AMD. And for Team Green, you're looking at a GTX 1060. So very, very, very low end stuff, right? I know there was a lot of fear going into this that, oh no, the low end, because this game looks so expansive, the low end's probably going to require something like a RTX 3060 to be like the bare minimum. But no, I mean, 1060, this is a 10-year-old 60 class GPU at this point, right? Like, it's super old, super ancient, but they're still, bringing that back in here and saying that, if you've got it, you can still get a playable experience. Granted, you temper your expectations, turn everything down to minimum, and target 30 FPS at an upscaled 1080p, which, I mean, for some people, I mean, if that's all they got to get by, I mean, and they still want to play the game, might still be worth it considering how much fun they could have. CPU wise, they're recommending a 2600X or an i5 8500. So these are 6-core processors. The i5 8500 doesn't have hyper-threading though. But yeah, I mean, not a big deal. 6 cores in 2026 should be the bare minimum now you want to have in your gaming rig. If you're on a 4-core, 4-thread, or 4-core, 8-thread, I highly, highly recommend upgrading. That's just not going to cut it these days. For RAM, I mean, across the board, they're saying 16 gigs, so that's good. That's promising. I know a lot of games coming out these days have been requiring 32 gigabytes as like the bare minimum. But to see a game coming out in 2026 that's expansive as this one and saying it's only going to need 16 gigabytes. Yeah, pretty promising stuff. Operating system, Windows 10 64-bit. Actually just uploaded a video. Check it out. Windows 10 versus Windows 11 gaming benchmarks with a unique twist using IoT installs. So definitely check that out if you're someone who's been curious about, hey, is Windows 10 still better or is Windows 11 now taking the lead? So definitely check that video out. Highly recommend it. Storage wise though, yeah, this is going to be a bit of a blow. So 150 gigabytes of SSD storage required. And yeah, don't install this game on a hard drive, guys. Don't install this on a traditional spinner. Like I said, with how expansive and just how much is going to be going on in that open world, you want a fast medium of storage. So yeah, SSD doesn't matter if it's like a 2.5 inch drive that caps out at like 550 megs. Let's just go for the SSD, right? But yeah, 150 gigs. So you're definitely going to be looking into making some room for that if you don't already got it. But let's move on to low. And then for low, what they state is it's a native 1080p 30 FPS experience. And what you're going to need for this is an AMD RX 6500 XT and the GTX 1660. So this is still pretty low end stuff. Like if you look on the used market, like 6500 XTs, I think they're like below like $100 or something like that. 1660s as well. From what I've seen, they go for like 70 to $100. Correct me if I'm wrong on that if you've checked out recently. And then the CPU specs don't change; those still remain the same. But yeah, I mean for 1080p, low 30 FPS, that's certainly reasonable. And then for recommended, so I guess this is like that crowd that they believe is what the vast majority of consumers are currently in, or which pool or category they're in, right? So for this, they're saying it's 1080p 60, or if you want to go for a more higher fidelity experience, you can do 4K 30. Personally, and I think a lot of people will agree with me on this, I think going with a 1080p 60 FPS experience will be better. Um, Even if this is a single player game, I think just having that fluid 60 FPS locked is much better than 4K 30. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Console users may find something different. But yeah, 6700 XT and a RTX 2080, which is certainly interesting because 6700 XTs, last time I looked at benchmarks for this graphics card, it was trading blows with a 2080 Ti. So I'm not sure if this is maybe just a typo on their end or if RDNA 2 just doesn't work as well as it should in this game and Turing works better, right? But I mean, these are still pretty respectable cards. Last year I did do a RTX 2080 revisit, which I checked out a bunch of modern games, so you can certainly check that video out if you want to know how it's performing. Still a very capable graphics card. Still, obviously use medium settings, and you'll still have an enjoyable experience from the visuals I've seen of this game. Even if you play at medium, I think you'll still have a very very good experience. But yeah, they do upgrade the CPUs a little bit here as well. So we're looking at a Ryzen 5 5600, so 2020 6-core processor and an 11600K, so same era. So still not too bad. Still pretty like low end to mid range. And then when we jump onto high settings, okay, so this is where things start to crank up a bit. But I think a lot of like hardcore PC gamers will find themselves in. So high settings, I think this is where I personally would stop as well because personally I've found in a lot of games going from high to ultra, it's diminishing returns. There's not a big enough impact, but the performance difference can sometimes be massive. Sometimes in cases of like 50% for a very minimal uplift in visual fidelity. So 1440p 60, and then they're recommending a 7700 XT and a RTX 4070, which is certainly interesting because the 7700 XT is a sizable leap from the 6700 XT. I think it's about 30%. But the 4070, last time I looked at like a congregate or aggregate of benchmarks, you can check out Tech Power Up. They were showing that the 4070 is about, I think, 20% faster than the 7700 XT. So it's kind of weird how, we were looking at a Turing card. Like if you look at the recommended specs, Turing was performing or showing up as better than RDNA 2. But in this case, it looks like the opposite, where RDNA 3 is closing the gap on Ada Lovelace. So that's pretty interesting, right? And then, yeah, we get another bump in the CPU specs. So 7600, still 6 cores, but, faster single core speed, faster clocks. And then the 12600K, which is Alder Lake, right? And this one has the E-cores on it, so a bit of a bump in the E-cores there, or core count in general. Then we move on to ultra settings. So then, and this is the part that actually surprised me, because for ultra settings, and going into this before I even saw these specs, I was like, yeah, this game, has so much going on with the visuals and how big the world is. It's probably gonna need like an RTX 4080 for 4K ultra settings, or if you're on AMD 7900 XTX. But in this case, they're pretty tame with the ultra 4K 60 specs. They're requiring a 9070 XT. So this is, current gen AMD offering. and then the equivalent, which is a 5070 Ti. And I've done a head-to-head of these cards. They do pretty much go neck and neck with each other in that same performance tier. So that's sensible, right? That's something I expected for the alternative requirement. But still, like 4K 60, and we're talking about, I mean, yeah, sure, like the 9070 XT, $600 to $700, 5070 Ti's right now with the shortage, it's ridiculous. They're going for like what, $1,000? It's absolutely ridiculous. But these are supposed to be like the sort of lower, or not lower, but like upper mid-range graphics cards, and that's what they're recommending for 4K 60, rather than saying, hey, no, you need a 5090 or 5080, or if you're on AMD, you need a 7900 XTX or something like that. Well, to be fair, 9070 XTs I've seen in some games actually beat out the 7900 XTX. But overall, I think looking at it from a hardware aspect or a performance optimization aspect, things look really, really promising. And that was, of course, a very smart decision from the developers to actually spend some time in optimizing the game and to ensure that it runs across a very wide variety of hardware. And as you guys know, right now, things in the hardware space are just absolutely crazy, like a roller coaster. There's shortages, prices are sky high, and a lot of people are completely tuned out of the hardware scene and saying, screw it, like I'm not excited about things right now, and I'm just going to ride out what I have for years to come until it maybe dies, or until, things come back down to earth. We reach a point of normality again, like we did a few years ago. But certainly a smart move by the devs. This is a very, very wide spectrum of hardware that they're showing, so that's really promising. And it's appreciative when developers do this, and they talk about upscaling in different settings and different CPUs and all that aspect, because now this gives consumers the confidence that, hey, I can purchase this game. I kind of know what to expect performance wise. I can always tweak settings from here on out, and I can most likely attain a playable experience. And like I said, this is a single player game. This isn't a competitive shooter, right? So if you're playing at a locked 60 FPS, I think you'll be fine. You're just gonna have to play around with settings. But let me know what you guys think. I'm really excited about this game. I'm looking forward to it. Again, like I haven't played an expansive open world game like this since like Elden Ring, right? So I've been looking forward to this one. I absolutely love fantasy RPG open world games. So I'm very excited, and I'll be posting some follow-up content using the test bench with this game. I'll check out a few graphics cards. Let me know if you guys have any certain requests. I'll see if I have something in the inventory, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you're excited, and yeah, we'll touch base in the next video. Take care.
If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.